Okay? Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay, you want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
The silence is deafening in this interrogation. Oh, Russell Williams, what are we going to do with you? One of the things that I've taken from this very historic interrogation is this comment that he just made. Things are getting out of control really fast, Russell. And I actually say that all the time. It's almost like my please hold. I say that all the time in my real life. Things are getting out of control. What are we going to do? It's happening really fast. This interrogation of Russell Williams literally is a landmark. It's used as training. This interrogator is absolutely amazing in this, and it's absolutely bone-chilling to watch Russell Williams squirm in his seat and the things that come out of his mouth once he realizes I'm painted into a corner. So, for those of you that are curious, let's talk about very quickly, who is Russell Williams? What is this interrogation? What did he do? The man who appears to be so composed and calm in that interrogation room is this guy, Russell Williams. You can see here, Mr. Colonel of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Good old Russell boy. Now, after graduating from the University of Toronto in 1987, Russell joined the Royal Canadian Air Force. Throughout his almost 23-year tenure, Williams earned the trust and respect of his superiors. By January of 2009, he'd risen the ranks and was promoted to colonel. By the summer of the same year, he was sworn into the office of Wing Commander, making him the leader of Canada's most important Air Force installation. And as the year was winding down, the world was gearing up for the 2010 Winter Games. In December of 2009, the Olympic torch was meandering through Canada on its way to the host city, Vancouver. On this journey, the flame made a stop in Trenton, where Williams would participate in the acclaimed Olympic torch relay. Then, within 2 short months, February 2010, the celebrated leader's personal and professional life would go up in a spectacular blaze of glory when a very, very different and dark side of Russell Williams was revealed to the world. Now, y'all, before we put the next graphic up here, just be forewarned, there is some scantily clad Russell in this. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Well, bam! Now you can see a little bit of Mr. Russell Williams after dark here. Okay, yeah, confidence is and was his best accessory. I personally think he, outdid himself with all these photos. Clearly, Russell has a little bit of a fetish being into women's clothes. Now, while these photos may seem, a little bit grotesquely comical and maybe harmless for him, they are anything but. This is not the photographic evidence of a guy playing dress up in his wife's lingerie, okay? This is very different. These are images of a deeply disturbed person who experts labeled a sexual deviant of the worst kind. So that being said, you're going to want to make sure your cuppeth is fulleth, your puppy is sleeping and cuddled up next to you, and you've got your seatbelt ready to buckle up for today's video.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad, sipping from the cuppeth, hey, hey.
Now hold on everybody, let's do a quick sofa sidebar now. Keep in mind, ain't no cop, ain't no doctor, ain't no lawyer, ain't no therapist, ain't none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? Only credentials we got up in here is my sass, and this sofa. Now keep in mind also, I'm just giving my opinions on very public information, so do your own research, come to your own opinions, and drop them off in the comment section. And while you're down there, if you do like what you see here at the Sofa Squad, drop a little like, drop a little comment, drop a little share. It helps the channel out immensely. Now let's get edition. Hello Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. It's a sofa. Those are some deer. My name is Paul. My name is Paul if you're new to the channel, and if you're not new to the channel, my name is still Paul. Okay, now, all that being said, we already talked about what we're doing, so let's dive in.
I guess the closest interview by NIS for top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Sure.
So again, I appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you. So
No, I appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
I could definitely, are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar.
I probably have it a little bit.
Sorry, what? Sorry?
Gum. Just
Oh,
a piece of gum.
Well, there's napkins there if you want to toss it or whatever.
I appreciate that.
Couple of things. Again, I've watched this interview or interrogation so many times because of the interrogator. He's just so amazing. So notice a couple of things. And again, like in my little thing I said, I'm not some body language person, whatever, but I love commenting on this stuff from sofa speculation as if, we're on a jury or whatnot, or just the sofa giving opinions. So when he does that whole thing where he's talking about like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. It's why we're here on a Sunday. This is really important. Remember, they've already talked to him one time. Like somebody already talked, he got stopped or something like that, right? So there's been an interaction. Now, also keep in mind that Russell knows what he's done, okay? Countless R's, murder, you name it. Like this dude is a absolute, and I don't know if he's been diagnosed, but he's a monster, okay? So he knows all this, right? Now, also, he's very much, you can see that militant, like I'm chewing gum, I'm doing this, for whatever. Notice the whole thing when the interrogator is like, I don't know if you're a coffee guy, I hate to drink it in front of you. Russell, yeah. Well, here you go. That camaraderie, we're friends, we're doing things, we're breaking bread, okay? We're sipping from the cupeth togethereth.
And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here, okay? Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating, okay? And essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009. And very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay. In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Comeau. Was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well. And then most recently we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay. So essentially, when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges. All right. We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement, okay? And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right?
Okay, so this is why we're here. Another thing that I think the interrogator does so well in this is he's laying everything out. Now, we'll get to these clips in a minute of once he's put everything out there. He's told Russell everything before Russell can realize that he's painted in a corner, and it begins here. These are the crimes. These are the victims' names. This is this. These are the charges. This is what could potentially happen, whether it's you or somebody else. Like, look, we're buddies, right? We're trying to both figure this out together. Now, also look at Russell. First of all, he makes me want to chew a piece of gum so bad. Russell, I go back and forth with this one of he's taking in information, that kind of militant, like, yep, yep, no, I heard of that one, yep, yep, papers, yep, But also I get this vibe from him that he's sitting here almost like enjoying this, right? Almost like in his mind that he's like, you're not going to catch me, and I'm getting like behind this, like he's getting off on it, okay? Now somebody correct me in the comment section over this, or inform me, I should say. Correct me if I'm wrong, that once they book him, he's wearing ladies' garments underneath the clothes he has on right now. I don't know if that's true. I can't confirm that, but let me know because I think that was the case. So I just feel like in the beginning of this where he's like, I'm going home. Like I'm getting, I'm kind of like getting off on this. I've got my little panties on and I'm hearing about all the crimes that I committed. I'm just like, you'll never catch me. Now, as true crime consumers, we know it's common for serial offenders to start small and then slowly amp up the severity and frequency of their crimes. The case against Russell Williams, it ain't no different. Okay, let's look at the creeper timeline on the screen. So September 2007, Williams broke into a neighbor's house while they were away and posed for selfies wearing a young girl's underwear. He stole some of it. In the following months, he broke into other homes in Tweed and the Bellevue area. Now, fast forward to May 2008, a rash of similar crimes occurred in the vicinity of Williams' home in Orleans. Fast forward to September 2009, 2 women in Tweed were attacked. Both women were asleep when Williams broke in. Both were bound and blindfolded, assaulted, and forced to pose nude for photographs.
Nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams, okay? Because essentially there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
and then I guess I drive past. Yes, I would have to say there's a connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now this to me is just beautiful in the art of interrogation. Notice what he does here, right? He says, "Now, reason we're here to talk to Mr. Russell, okay? I would say there's a bit of a connection." You know, and Russell's, you could just tell him like Russell's like taking it in, right? And he's like, you know, yep, you drive by, you're in the vicinity, you're this, you're that. A connection that an innocent person could very likely have, right? This could be like because think of this, Russell could probably say the same for some of his neighbors that, hey, we all drive by, we do this, we know so-and-so. Granted, he's a little bit different because of the work situation, but you get where I'm going. See how the interrogator again is bringing in, he starts off with this big whole thing. Here's the big world he's presenting to Russell. Here's all these murders, attacks, arson, all this. We're here talking. And it gets a little smaller. Now there's a little bit of a connection here with you because you are in the vicinity. Russell agrees. Next, his world will keep going to a spam. We have you with your footprints and this and that. And it's amazing how he does it. Russell still seems to have his composure fully intact for the most part, but very soon he is about to find out that law enforcement knows that his connection to the victims goes far beyond geography.
And that's why, I'll be quite frank with you, that's why things kind of evolved when the officers talked to you on Thursday night.
Okay.
We kind of went from there because when I think you discussed with them the fact that you were a colonel at the base.
I was in uniform at the time, so.
Yeah, so pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, then the connection with Miss Comeau was made. And I believe you're a door or 2 down from one of those 2 incidents in Tweed.
3 doors down, yeah.
Yeah.
Very close, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the issues we wanted to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, just furthering, going deeper into the connection here. You heard him say, "Yep, I was in uniform at the time, and this, that, and the other." Well, that's why we did this. And he's also making, and when I'm talking about the interrogator, he's still being generic enough to where you might be thinking, "Oh, I can talk my way out of this. That's all they got." Russell doesn't know the evidence they have yet, but he's slowly admitting the connection himself. But at this point in time where he might be like, "Oh, okay, well, you know, this, whew, you know, I make sure not to do that again when I get home tonight." Yeah, I don't think he knows at this point, or he's still thinking he's going to get away with this, that he's smarter than everybody else in the room. The interrogator, Jim Smyth, referenced an evolution in the investigation since officers spoke to him, meaning Russell, on Thursday, which was about 2 days earlier. Smyth is referring to the roadside checkpoint, which law enforcement set up hoping to identify a vehicle with the same distinct tire tracks as those found outside of a victim's home. After Russell stopped to speak with the police, they were immediately intrigued by the tread patterns his SUV left as it rolled through the snow-covered road.
That refronts Comeau. Do you remember how you found out?
I do. Yeah, I was sent an email. Well, as soon as the ops staff and the base learned, they told me.
Okay.
So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night or early in the morning. It was certainly, I saw it, I want to say first thing in the morning, because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but
Now, one thing that's going to come out later in the interrogation, I don't know if it's in the clips I have for this video or the second video I'm going to be doing, where they will talk about this, that Russell kind of interfered with this little investigation or told people not to respond to the media or something like that. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. What I'm getting at is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, is that they are talking about a situation on the base with someone there who he's going to be forced to admit more of the connection, because at the end of the day, he did attack this person. Like, he knows exactly who they're talking about, but obviously he's going to pretend that that's not the case at this point in time.
And how did you know Marie-France Comeau?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay.
So I can't even remember. I think it was a one-day trip. I did a number of trips in Canada, transporting our troops, sort of first leg out of Edmonton. We tend to hopscotch them across until they get in the theater. So
I only met her, barely knew her. Marie who? Look at how he's minimizing. Look at how he's trying to play it off like, yeah, barely knew this person. But let's talk a minute about who she is and how he really knew her. Now, although investigators were likely aware, Russell excluded that he was her commanding officer, a role which gave him access to her personal information, including her schedule. Russell also neglected to tell Smyth that 1 week after Maria's death, he sent a condolence letter to her father. So you'll see here on the screen a picture of her. So Williams broke into the home of Corporal Marie and attacked her. She was under his command at Trenton Air Base. She pleaded for her life and put up a fight, causing Russ to strike her on the head several times with a flashlight. He repeatedly arred her and beat her when she resisted. She ultimately died by asphyxiation when he bound her face with duct tape. Now, before leaving, he wrapped her body in a duvet and left it in her bedroom, where it lay for more than 30 hours.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
absolutely
did this?
No.
Okay.
Be very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is it?
Well, I want to call those little racy bra and panty photo shoots of his boring by any means. I mean, my gosh, give yourself a little bit of credit here. So, listening to him say, no, not at all, would be very boring. But here's the thing. Most likely, everybody would say that. They'd be like, Russell did that? What? So often that is the case in these crimes where people are like, they did what? I would never have guessed it. Especially something to this degree where Russell is, started off from where he did, and just all the craziness of it. And also the fantasies that he played out at the hands of others, and then also the depravity of the crimes. Now, Russell's arrest understandably shook the Canadian military to its core, after which they took a deep dive into his file and stating, I'm going to read this quote here on the screen, a complete review of Colonel Williams' military records since joining in 1987 did not show any red flags that could have predicted he would have turned into a murderer and artist. You can be assured that when this came out, we did some serious soul searching. His file was looked at extensively from every single angle we could think of to see what we could have missed. The truth is, we didn't miss anything that was visible.
And I assume you're going to be discreet?
It's possible. Yeah.
Because, this would have a very significant impact on the base if they thought you thought I did this.
Well, bottom line, Russell, that's one of the reasons we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
The military certainly be of great assistance to us, especially in relation to Miss Comeau's investigation. So That's certainly one of the things that went into our decision to give you a call at home today and see if we could deal with this today.
Okay.
So, okay.
Now, again, and this right here, Russell doesn't know that they are currently searching his home. He's been found out, right? They're searching his home. His wife knows. All this is taking place while this is going down. But you see how he gets very direct. And I assume you're going to be discreet because what they're wanting to do is like take like, you know, can we get DNA or blood or whatever, right? And he's being cooperative in this because he's thinking they're not going to catch me, right? Please, I've snowed everybody over. But this is the first where he gets very direct and is looking at them like going into his military type thing like that. And it's like, oh, honey, you are cooked. You know, imagine this man. He is never even thinking that pictures of him dressed up in these, you know, bra and panties and stuff like this are going to be made public. Like he's like none of this, or that he killed people or any of this stuff. Okay. This had to have been devastating to absolute. I don't know if the man's a narcissist, a psychopath, all of it. I don't know. Right. But you know, it did not go over well with him.
Is there any contact that you may have had with any of those 4 women that you may not want your wife to be aware of? Anything like that that we should know about to try and explain why, if your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences? Let's focus on, well, for instance, I believe, let me just check the name there, make sure I've got the right address. Talking about the house that was just a couple of doors down from you there in Tweed.
Now, this part right here, where he's, again, the interrogators give it, was there any reason why this would be here? That you don't want your wife to know? Maybe he had an affair at some point. He's giving every option, but also what he's doing is by having Russell cancel this out, there's absolutely no reason it should be there. Well, then once we get to the point of, and it is there, he's already told you there's no reason it should be there. There's no logical reason. Like at this point, if he had started, and again, they already have enough evidence, but it's like in his mind, like, okay, the way I view that what he should be doing is that he should be like, oh, they probably know something. I better come up with something. But he doesn't want to admit anything. If he was like, well, I did have an affair with so-and-so. Now, obviously that would open up a whole can of worms. So I get where it's better for him to sit here and just completely deny, but it will also be his absolute undoing. Now, this is one of the few times that Russell's wife is ever mentioned. At the time of this interrogation, he and his wife, Mary Elizabeth Harriman, had been married 19 years. Neighbors and friends reported that they seemed like a perfectly normal, contented couple. Multiple sources indicated that she had no idea about her husband's crimes and was described as shocked, confused, and unable to stay in their family home.
Quite innocently, your DNA could be in that residence. Has there ever been a time you've been in there?
No.
Okay. What about the other lady down the road on?
I hadn't even heard that name, so no, I don't actually know who that was.
Okay. Have you ever visited Marie-France Comeau at her residence?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're quite positive there would be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those 3 locations. Okay.
I'm talking, he has painted himself in a corner. I mean, y'all, this is so amazing what Jim Smyth, the interrogator, has done here. Literally given him every option, any reason. Did you go over? I mean, just anything possible, right? Absolutely not. Zero reason. There's no connection. Barely even knew these people. So it makes the last part of like, well, bam, your car was there. Bam, your shoe was there. Bam, your DNA. You know, it's done. There's nothing to say at that point. Now, when Smyth says to the other lady down the road, he's referring to Jessica Lloyd. Now, we've heard that name a few times at this point. Jessica would be his final victim. Her assault and murder marked the point where Russell became reckless, allowing for science and Mother Nature to do their job.
What would cause you to drive off the road at that section of roadway?
No, that's my that's the early part of the highway, and just head north. It's about 30 minutes from there to, probably 20 from there to my house.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that when the CSI officers were looking around her property, that they identified a set of tire tracks to the north of her property? Looks as if the vehicle left the road and drove along the north tree line of Jessica Lloyd's property. Okay. They took they examined those tire tracks. And they have contacts in the tire business. Obviously, tire tracks are a major source of evidence for us.
Sure.
Shortly after this investigation started, they identified those tires as the same tires on your Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
This part right here, y'all. Really? No, the whole time, Now, you know, in his mind, as Jim Smyth is describing this, I'm thinking Russell has to be reliving this. Like, okay, that is the way that I went. I think, yep, I did do that. You know, because at first, there's zero reason why they'd be there. Zero reason. By the time they throw everything on the table and say, bam, here's this, there's nowhere for Russell to go, right, without lying more. And I think Russell, one thing that's interesting about him is once he, and we'll see these clips in a minute, is once he collects his chips and realizes, I'm done, right? Only then does he say, here we go. Right. But in my opinion, it's only to control the narrative, not for Jessica, not for the victim. He's still trying to control the narrative. Smyth has circled back to the tire tracks left in the snow and point blank telling him about the tire tracks found outside of her home. Jessica Lloyd was reported missing when she didn't show up for work. This sparked a massive search that included search and rescue aircraft authorized by Williams. Several witnesses came forward to report seeing a silver-colored SUV parked in a field near Lloyd's house on the night of her disappearance.
And I'm not at liberty to tell you what the content was, but is there any reason at all you can think of why Marie-France Comeau would have specifically referenced you in some of her writings?
Not at all.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. So did you hear him? Absolutely not. I mean, he literally is hiding beneath the cloak of the superficial image he has built up. You know, Russell knows what he's doing over here, but he's invested in this superficial image. Someone's like Ted Bundy. You know how people were like, Ted was so nice, he was handsome, he was charming, he was this. But other people saw the mask slip. They saw the evilness. They saw all that, right? I consider Russell to be in this vicinity of Ted Bundy. Russell's obviously a little bit more, let's say, successful or whatever. Like, you know, he did the big colonel thing and all this, but that, you know, relatively handsome, probably charming, you know, can fit into many situations in society and go undetected. This right here was one of the countless reasons the interrogation of Russell Williams is still being talked about today. There are no writings. Smyth was probing him for information and goading him into a confession. This was a psychological tactic designed to, and let's refer to the image on the screen now, imply a deeper motive. He wanted to push Williams past his claim of a random break-ins and murders by implying that Comeau's writings proved she knew him personally. 2. Establish a false connection. The question hinted that Smyth had seen a journal or other documents linking the two. This was a bluff, as there is no evidence to suggest that Comeau ever wrote about Williams. 3. Exert control over the narrative. Smyth's questions were part of a wider strategy to break through Williams' calm, controlled demeanor and force him to acknowledge the inconsistencies in his stories.
I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here, okay? The trying to be as discreet as possible, okay? But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up, okay? And it's not issues that point away from you. It's issues that point at you, okay? And I want you to see what I mean.
Buckle up. This is the part where you need it. He's getting ready to put him on Front Street, okay? Now, again, keep all the stuff in mind that we've already been going over with this interrogation. All of Russell's, the calm demeanor, the denying everything, the this, that. He's painted himself in this total corner so that he can't lie his way out of it at this point once the evidence starts coming out of of what's really going on. Now, clearly he, like Alex Cox, is bad at crime and wore the same shoes to the police department.
You took off your foot.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago. Okay. Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons. Okay. You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through. There's several different prints to compare. So we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare.
Yep.
These are identical. Okay. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay, you want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
Again, y'all, the deafening, the screaming of the silence, right? It's so loud. So this is where it all just comes down, right? This whole thing where he's like, bam, here's these tires. And when he goes, look at how everything's changed. Your car was here. Your boot print was here. Everything has changed now. And then he goes in for it. We need honesty. I told you I would give you discretion. I told you this, but we need to get honest here. Now, again, that part right here, I love that line. Things are getting out of control. Really, this is really, really fast. Imagine if you're just in there, somebody's telling you like, Paul, this is getting out of control really, really fast. Okay. What are we going to do? Now, and that makes you think, oh gosh, especially for someone like Russell, who's like, everything needs to be controlled. Everything needs to be measured. Everything needs to be this or that. But also notice how the interrogator, Jim, sits there and when he's like, bam, here's the footprint. And he just lets silence fill the room. And then at the end where he's like, this is out of control really, really fast. What are we going to do? And then Russell's like, and again, this is the beginning of Russell's, really, in my opinion, Russell's realization of my world is falling apart. His brain's going to be scrambling. He's going to be thinking just like the guy said, Jim, it's getting out of control really, really fast.
This is getting beyond my control. All right, I came in here a few hours ago and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house and I need to know why.
Now, yeah, I know I'm leaving some of these long pauses of silence up. I usually don't do that, but I think they're so important in this because of just this particular situation. Russell's grabbing this, and in my opinion, what Russell's doing is just trying to come up with a story, right? He's buying time. He's coming to the realization that he is painted in a corner. And just like this guy said, this is out of my control. Like, we both know you were there. I need to know why you were there. Now, remember, Russell's already said zero reason why he was there. Never been there. So no matter what he says, now he can't say, oh, I forgot. Well, I didn't want to say this. And usually what these people will do in this situation is they'll be like, well, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, I was having an affair with my wife, right? Like that's like the go-to, or vice versa, whatever. I didn't want to say but he's given him so many chances to have already said that, is there any reason, maybe your wife, whatever? He took control of that in the very beginning. So there's zero reason for this. And then even then, so if he admits it, it's like, well, then why were your boot prints? Like, this is weird, right? So yeah, someone's busted. Now let's refer to this on the screen here. So in the early morning hours of January 29, 2010, he broke into Jessica's house near Bellevue, Ontario. Now, he would R her and made her pose for photographs. He then took her to his cottage in Tweed, where the assaults continued until the early evening when Williams cracked her skull with a flashlight and strangled her with a piece of rope. Williams hid her body in his garage where she lay for days until he returned, and he then dumped her body in the woods near Tweed.
I don't know what to say. That's,
Well, you need to explain it, because this is the other problem we're having, Russell. Okay? Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa. Okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized. Okay? You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations.
Honey, Russell is smoked at this point. His world just crashed. His world is destroyed. When this guy went, bam, search warrant at your house, wife knows. Bam, place in Tweed. Bam, this right here. He's done. He's cooked. And he is probably absolutely ishing in his pants right now. Okay, anybody would, right? Because it's all hitting him too, where he's like, I mean, think of all the flood of emotions coming through. I'm caught. I'm not going home. I've already backed myself in. You're trying to come up with a story. All the things are happening at one time. Now, the search warrant turned up a lot of evidence, and some of it looked like these photos on the screen, okay? Look at the amount going on here. Each of these represents victims. Each of these represents the stuff that he was doing, okay? He had no idea that this stuff would ever be found.
You and I both know that the unknown offender, male, on Marie France Comeau's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay. We're applying, the investigators now applying for a warrant to search your office.
So you heard him say, the investigator, Jim Smyth, this is by the end of this evening. We both know this is going to be here. And then a key point in this, here's like your last chance to take control, right? Because that is what Russell wants. This is all about control. These crimes that he's doing, it's all about control, everything. And obviously he's somebody who operates in this world with the military, all this type of stuff, right? So I just think this part's genius by Jim Smyth, who's just like, here's your chance, a major investigation. This is going to happen by the end of the night. Creating that urgency. Come on, we have to do this. Like, now's your chance. Come on. Do you want to maintain control of your narrative of this and that? And to me, that's the only motivation that he has. This man doesn't care about anybody else, right? He'll pretend to care about like what the wife and this, that, and the other, whatever. But no, this is all about Russell.
Right. These aren't decisions that we can say yes or no to. This is the practical steps in an investigation like this. And Russell, listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now.
This part gives me chills, y'all. This part gives me chills, but he's like, but I also know that your mind is racing right now. Jim Smyth is so monotone, not really monotone, but like, Russell, this is what's going on right now. Russell, listen to me. Well, you and I both know that when this happens and this takes place, someone knocks on that door, your credibility, it's It's gone, right? Your mind's racing. He is telling Russell exactly, and he's right. This is exactly what's going on in Russell's world. His world is crashing. And when he said right now they're applying for a search warrant at your office, it's done, right? And this is all sinking into Russell. He's gotten away with this for years, okay? And now it's like, my wife knows, this knows. Your life is over at this point. Now, one of the most infamous lines from this interrogation is when the moment comes where Russell decides it's done with, here we go. Now, what we're going to do before we look at it is I'm going to let you know this is like a precursor to the second part of this. This is a very long interrogation. So we're going to look at this and we'll pick back up on the next video with more clips from this where they go deeper into what happened in his confession and things of this nature. But before we end, let's just take a look at this very infamous bite from this.
So where is she?
Got a map?
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure if you give me a map of that covers Caladar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south. I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something.
Y'all, why am I nervous? I'm on the edge of the sofa, literally. Y'all, got a map? So right then and there, my back's against the wall. There's nothing else he can do but confess, right? I mean, there's other things he could do, obviously, right? But again, he wants to control the narrative. He thinks he still has control over it, right? He's thinking, I don't want no one to find these bra and panties I'm wearing or nothing like that now. I better just go ahead and confess to some of it, right? You know, he's just like dying over here, right? Now, the second video that we'll get into, the next video or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be more of like him going into the confession and the reasonings and the this and the that and the ba. So there's that. Now, if there's other interrogations or interviews like this that you want me to revisit, drop it in the comment section. Let me know. I love going over these old ones. We did this a while ago on the podcast channel, but we'll revisit it because so many people like doing it. So yeah, that's it. I know this is a little bit of a long video. I appreciate you hanging tight for it. If you could, while you're hanging out here, drop some comments. And those little comments could be little sofas for myself, Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke back here sleeping so tidily, and you, the most important, the Sofa Squad, who makes the channel possible. It wouldn't be here without you, and I greatly appreciate it. So while you're down there doing all that, until we all go down there and do all that in the comment section and hang out and dish, bam, I'll see y'all soon.
I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.